In the dashcam footage, my husband was entangled with another woman from The Voice. It was Marvin's first love, Maura Holmes. I stared at the screen, trembling all over. The person next to me coughed, and I looked up at the person in front of me. It was the driver of the car I had just sideswiped. He glanced at my ID. "Miss Collins, I have important matters to attend to. Do you want to settle this privately? Or go through the insurance process?" Just as I was about to say something, my best friend called. "Alice, the auction is about to start. Where are you?" "I got delayed by something. I'll be there soon." I was supposed to attend an auction with my best friend today, but I got a provocative call from a strange woman halfway there, and in a moment of distraction, I sideswiped the car next to me. The traffic police needed to check both dashcams. And then a drama unfolded on my end. "Miss Collins, have you decided?" I hurriedly picked up my phone. "I'm really sorry. Let's settle it privately. I'll scan your WhatsApp." The driver got back into his car and handed me a QR code. Beep. Was it a friend request? The car had already started and I hurriedly called out, but it disappeared in an instant. I rushed to the venue. The auction had already started. My best friend Sophia Munoz was waiting for me at the entrance. "Why are you so late?" "It's a long story. Let's go in first." I was about to enter, but Sophia stopped me. Alice, you need to be prepared for something." "What is it?" I just went inside before Sophia could finish. We heard gossip from two people coming out. Why did Mr. Doyle bring a mistress and not his wife? Maybe he's afraid his wife's low status would embarrass him. I stepped into the venue. Marvin Doyle was bidding, and Sophia whispered beside me. "The current item is a gemstone necklace. Marvin seems determined to get it." At that moment, Marvin's face wore a blissful smile, and the woman beside him nestled in his arms like a delicate bird. Even though I had prepared myself mentally, I still staggered a few steps. Sophia quickly supported me. "Let's go sit over there. That woman is Maura Holmes." Sophia was shocked. "What? Wasn't Maura abroad? I just found out today too." Sophia was furious. "Those cheating scoundrels. Alice, get a divorce. He's not worth it." I gripped my coffee cup tightly, trying to calm my emotions. Sophia received a call and had to leave urgently. "Alice, why don't you come back with me?" "I want some time alone, you go ahead." My mind was in a complete muddle, unable to sort out my thoughts. Well, if it isn't my dear sister-in-law? I looked up to see Vicky Doyle, Marvin's sister. The one who had been giving me trouble since the first day we met. She thought I wasn't good enough for her brother due to my humble background. I couldn't be bothered with her and got up to leave, but she wouldn't let it go. "Oh my, Alice, why don't you go in to see my brother?" "Oh wait, I remember now. Maura's back, isn't she? I bet my brother's not paying you any attention now, is he?" Vicky's voice was loud enough to draw the attention of everyone in the lobby. They didn't know me, but they knew Vicky. Hearing her call me sister-in-law immediately piqued their interest, especially since Marvin and Maura were inside. It was quite the dramatic scene, and everyone was eager to watch it unfold. This was exactly the reaction Vicky wanted. Her gaze fell on my handbag, and she rolled her eyes in disgust. "Look, Alice, I don't care if your family is poor, but you shouldn't be so vain. My brother doesn't earn money easily, yet you keep spending it like water." The people around us grew more interested. "Miss Doyle, what do you mean by that?" Vicky looked smug. "Do I need to spell it out? Just look at her bag. It's a limited edition. She has no money of her own but insists on being extravagant. Unlike Maura, a true heiress from a prestigious family, modest and refined, how can someone like her even compare?" She leaned in closer to me. "Alice, how long do you think you'll remain my sister-in-law now that Maura's back?" In a swift motion, I picked up my coffee and threw it in Vicky's face. I didn't realize that being from a wealthy family meant having such a foul mouth. "Didn't your brother tell you? Not a single thing I'm wearing was bought with his money. I bought it all myself." "You bought it yourself? Who are you trying to fool?" Vicky was furious. Alice, this dress I'm wearing is haute couture. You couldn't afford to replace it even if you sold yourself. Ha! I let out a cold laugh. You think too highly of yourself. Do you really think you're worthy of that dress? What's going on here? The auction had ended, and Marvin emerged with Maura on his arm. The necklace was already adorning her neck. Seeing me, Marvin's face darkened. Vicky immediately ran to his side to complain. Marvin, Alice bullied me. You're quite the actress, I scoffed. Marvin glared at me. Why can't you just stay at home instead of causing a scene? And arguing with your sister-in-law in public? Aren't you ashamed? Exactly, Vicky chimed in. Alice, can't you be more sensible? We don't look down on you for your common background, and we've tolerated your vanity, but my brother is here on important business today. Are you trying to embarrass our entire family? Does your family have any shame left to lose? I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. I pointed at Marvin and Maura. Is bringing your mistress to a public event important business? And I, your lawfully wedded wife, am the embarrassment. Alice, don't push it, Marvin warned. I'm pushing it? Then why don't you tell me who this woman is? I started walking towards Maura, but Marvin grabbed me forcefully. Maura quickly stepped forward to mediate. Come now, Marvin. Miss Collins loves you. So her actions, however inappropriate, are understandable. But we have important matters to attend to today and can't indulge her drama. I frowned at Maura. You shut up. No, you shut up. Marvin gritted his teeth but released his grip on me. I'll let this go today for Maura's sake. Now go home and stop embarrassing me here. He left with Maura and Vicky. As Vicky passed me, she deliberately bumped into me hard. I lost my balance and started to fall backwards. Just in time, a pair of hands caught me, preventing me from hitting the ground. I turned around to find it was the car owner I had a minor collision with earlier. Are you all right? He asked. I shook my head and was about to leave when he called out to me again. I turned back. Anything else? Well, he waved his phone at me. You haven't paid for the damage yet. Only then did I remember. I quickly took out my phone, transferred the money, and left. As I stepped out, I felt as if all the strength had been drained from my body, leaving me utterly exhausted. I slumped down on a nearby bench, reflecting on the past year. 1 year of knowing each other, 1 year of marriage. The events of this period flashed before my eyes like scenes from a film. Marvin Doyle's first love, his shining star. I thought it was all in the past. It turns out, I was the only one who had moved on. I remembered the day I met Marvin that evening. I was returning late to university after a tutoring session when I was cornered by a group of thugs in a narrow alley. It was Marvin who saved me. It was too dark to see his face clearly, but I remember he injured his arm. Later, when we met again at university, Marvin recognized me first. That's when I learned that the wound on his arm had taken a long time to heal. Feeling guilty, I often treated him to meals and cinema trips. I later found out that on the day he rescued me, he had just broken up with his girlfriend. Maura had left him for a wealthy man and gone abroad because Marvin was poor. We became good friends and over time I fell for him. After we graduated from university, Marvin proposed to me, but my family was against it. My father couldn't understand how I, the sole heiress of the Collins group, could be swept off my feet by a poor boy during my time at university. To make me give up on Marvin, Dad even hired a private investigator to follow him. He told me that Marvin was only with me for the money, but I didn't believe it. I was furious that Dad had Marvin followed. In the end, I had a huge row with my family and ran off to marry Marvin. I didn't believe Marvin was with me for money because I had never told him about my background, to prove my judgment and to show my parents that Marvin could make something of himself. I made a bet with them. We agreed on a 1-year term. I would live by his side as an ordinary person. And when he succeeded, I would bring him home to meet them. I glanced at the date on my phone. There was still a month left until a full year had passed. I thought I was close to success, but fate had played such a cruel joke on me. I sighed softly, not knowing where to go from here. Just as I was feeling utterly dejected, Sophia called me. "Alice, come to my shop right away." Sophia's tone was urgent. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach but didn't dare delay. I hurried off to find her. Sophia's family is in the luxury goods business, so she owns several high-end boutiques. I arrived at Sophia's office to find her holding a limited edition handbag. Why did you buy this bag too? I already have one, you could have just borrowed mine if you wanted to use it." Sophia didn't answer. Instead, she asked, "Where's your bag?" "At home." "Why?" Sophia turned the bag in her hands over, revealing a corner of the interior. "Then take a look at this." "What is it?" I leaned in for a closer look and was stunned. "This? Isn't this my bag?" Sophia and I both have a habit of having our names embroidered in a corner when we buy these limited edition items. It's a custom order from the factory, so there wouldn't be a second one like it. So, how did my bag end up in Sophia's hands? Seeing my confusion, Sophia finally spoke. "Someone brought this bag in to sell. It's a limited edition, and there aren't many of them. So when the staff showed it to me earlier, my first thought was that it might be a fake. I was inspecting it when I saw your name." Seeing that I remained silent, Sophia did something on her computer and then called me over. "Alice, look at this." I went over to look at the screen. It was the shop's CCTV footage, and the person who had brought my bag in to sell was none other than Vicky Doyle. Sophia looked at me. "Alice, do you think they might have been stolen?" I bit my lip, hesitating for a moment. "Sophia, I need to go home for a bit. Wait for my call." Sophia nodded. "Don't worry, I'm here if you need me." Back at home, I checked all the bags one by one. As I feared, more than half of them had been replaced with fakes. To hide my identity, I had told Marvin that I bought these bags at a discount from Sophia's shop. At the time, he and Vicky had sneered at me. I never imagined they would stoop so low behind my back. I sent photos of all the bags to Sophia. Half an hour later, Sophia called. "I've looked into those bags. They were all sold by Vicky. It adds up to quite a sum." Anger flared up inside me. Seeing that I didn't respond, Sophia grew concerned. I quickly replied, "I'm fine, Sophia. Keep this under wraps for now, and please continue to keep an eye out for me." "Don't worry, I've got your back." "All right, I understand." Sophia was still worried. "Alice, don't be upset. Why bother with a cheating man like that? Once you've got all the evidence, divorce him and go back to inherit the family business. Isn't that better than staying here?" I calmed myself down. Though hurt, I wasn't going to take this lying down. If Marvin wanted to play games, fine. I'd show him how it's really done. Hearing my cold laugh, Sophia asked, "What? Have you figured something out?" "Yes, indeed. They've already walked all over me. I'd be a fool not to see it now, wouldn't I?" "Good that you've come to your senses. If you have any ideas, just let me know. That scumbag, how dare he mess with my best friend? He must have a death wish." I started to ponder my plan in my head. Since everything happened so suddenly, I needed time to sort things out. Therefore, I couldn't break up with Marvin Doyle just yet. Divorce is a complicated matter. I had to take it slow. As I was thinking, Marvin and Vicky returned. The siblings were chatting and laughing, but their expressions darkened the moment they saw me. Vicky was carrying several luxury shopping bags. Seeing my frown, Vicky spoke up. "These are all gifts my brother bought for me. Alice, why don't you have a look and see if there's anything you like? The more we spent, the more freebies we got. You can take a few items." I smiled faintly. "No need. You can keep them for yourself." "Alice, I'm doing this for your own good. These freebies are authentic, worth much more than those knockoffs you have. At least my knockoffs are bought with my own money, unlike some people who can only live off others. Can't you just stop talking?" Marvin was displeased. He told Vicky to go to her room, then looked at me. "I know you're upset about Maura, but Alice, you should also reflect on yourself. Why do so many people dislike you? Me. Reflect. Well, you're right. I've been reflecting over and over again. Marvin frowned at me. And I found out. I did nothing wrong. You. Marvin was about to say something when he suddenly noticed the bags I had pulled out. What are you up to now? I raised an eyebrow. None of your business. With that, I ignored Marvin and headed back to my room. Passing through the living room, I saw Vicky on a video call with Maura. Maura, when are you going to move in with my brother? Come on, just to keep me company. I'm so bored at home all the time. Maura's eyes kept darting towards Marvin. Vicky, your brother is married. It's not convenient for me to stay there. What's inconvenient? We have guest rooms. No, I'm particular about beds. I'll have insomnia if I sleep in a guest room. That's easy to solve. You can sleep in the master bedroom with my brother and let Alice sleep in the guest room. Vicky Doyle. I shouted, startling her. You don't get to make decisions in this house. Do you? Hearing my voice, Maura quickly spoke up. Oh, Alice, you're home. I'm sorry. I thought you weren't in. I sneered. What's the matter? Were you planning to come over and stay when I'm not home? In my bedroom? In my bed? Maura laughed awkwardly. Alice, what are you saying? Vicky is young and doesn't know better. She's just talking nonsense. Don't take it seriously. Whether I take it seriously or not doesn't matter. The question is, will you take it seriously? Alice, that's enough. Marvin stepped forward and ended the video call, then glared at me angrily. What's wrong with you? You've already upset Vicky today, and now you're lashing out at Maura. Have you gone mad? Me? Gone mad? Yes, I have, I shouted back at Marvin. But Marvin Doyle? Don't you want to ask why I've gone mad? Haven't you done something? Shouldn't you reflect on yourself? What could I have done? Looking at Marvin's nonchalant face, I wanted to throw the dashcam video and the receipts of his sister selling my things right in his face. But that would only give me momentary satisfaction, not achieve my goal of revenge. I had to grit my teeth and bear it for now. Marvin was furious. You're being completely unreasonable. He slammed the door as he left. Late that night, Vicky posted on her WhatsApp status, tagging me specifically. The background was our living room, with Marvin embracing and kissing Maura. The caption read, "True love always finds a way." In the past, I would have been very upset, but not anymore. I turned off my phone, had a good night's sleep, and showed up at Sophia's shop the next day looking fresh. To my surprise, I ran into that car owner again. I was speechless. I don't know what kind of fate it was, but in just these 2 days, he had seen all my awkward moments. Seeing me, he remained calm. What a coincidence. Indeed. Sophia wasn't there, so I greeted him and sat down on a nearby chair to wait for her. A cup of hot cocoa appeared in my line of sight. I looked up. It was the car owner. When you're feeling down, have something sweet. It helps a lot. I smiled and accepted it. Thank you. The atmosphere was quiet for a moment. My surname is Romero. It was then that I remembered seeing his ID card before. His name seemed to be Nolan Romero. Seeing that he had no intention of leaving, I glanced at the sales assistant behind him. The assistant was holding several trendy styles, but it seemed Nolan hadn't taken a liking to any of them. Mr. Romero, do you need any help? Nolan nodded. I looked around at the styles in the shop, then asked him, are you choosing for your wife? Nolan glanced at me, then shook his head. No. Then, what are the recipient's preferences? Low-key, simple. I nodded, then asked the assistant to bring down a bag that wasn't very expensive. While Nolan was examining the bag, the assistant leaned towards me. Alice, will this work? Just as she finished speaking, Nolan said, please wrap it up. I'll pay by card. The assistant gave me a thumbs up. After Nolan left, Sophia finally rushed back. Where have you been? Sophia mysteriously pulled me into her office, then handed me a USB drive. Watch it when you get home. Keep it safe. All right. As I put away the USB drive, Sophia spoke again. I just had dinner with my grandfather at home, and during our chat I learned some news. Is it about Marvin Doyle? Yes. Over the past few years, you've secretly used your connections to introduce quite a few resources to Marvin. The lad seems to have some ability. He's actually going to bid on that plot of land in the northern suburbs next month. I was well aware of Marvin's actions. In the following days, Sophia and I began to work separately. For a month, the Doyle siblings barely returned home. In the past, I would have called incessantly to inquire about his whereabouts. But this time, I didn't. I even ignored the 2 calls Marvin made to me during this period. Soon, it was time for the auction gala for the northern suburbs land. On the day of the gala, I made my appearance in a haute couture gown, walking into the venue with confidence and grace. As soon as I entered, I felt countless eyes on me. Some were surprised, others confused, and everyone was whispering. Of course, Marvin and Maura had the most interesting expressions of all. They looked at me with confusion and wariness. Alice? What are you doing here? Marvin frowned, his tone clearly displeased. I looked at him with amusement. Marvin, those with a clear conscience fear no accusation. Why are you so nervous? Do you have something to hide? Don't talk nonsense. This is not a place for you to make a scene. I don't know how you got in, but leave before anyone notices. Do you hear me? Oh. Is that so? But you know, I'm naturally drawn to excitement. And as it happens, I seem to have gotten hold of some of your secrets. Saying this, I took out a USB drive from my bag. Would you like to know what's on it? I wore an innocent smile on my face. To an outsider, we might have looked like a loving couple having a chat. What do you mean? Marvin's face darkened, seeming to realize something. My meaning is simple, Marvin. The game is over. I looked up, staring directly into his eyes. Now, it's time for you to pay the price. Marvin panicked completely. He grabbed my wrist. Alice. Don't make a fuss. Can we talk about this at home? Home? Do you still want that home? Of course, I never thought of giving up our home. As long as you behave and don't cause trouble, no one can break up our family. I smiled slightly at the person behind Marvin. Did you hear that, Miss Holmes? Marvin's expression froze, and he turned around abruptly. Maura? Maura forced a smile. Marvin, what are you two talking about? Marvin didn't answer, so I replied, we're discussing matters between husband and wife. Are you interested, Miss Holmes? At that moment, Vicky stormed over. Alice, you're so shameless. Even when stealing someone's man, you should know your place. Is this the right occasion for you to make a scene? Can't you live without a man? Our argument immediately attracted everyone's attention. Vicky turned to comfort Maura. I took a sip of wine, then spoke calmly. I've just learned today that talking to my lawful husband can be called shameless, while the mistress with no legal status gets all the sympathy. Oh my, what kind of world is this? Maura finally couldn't hold back. Alice, who are you calling a mistress? I raised an eyebrow. Do I need to spell it out? I pointed at her hand on Marvin's arm. Isn't it obvious? You. Maura's face turned pale with anger. Don't talk nonsense. Marvin and I did have a past, but now we're just business partners. On the contrary, you, as Marvin's wife, not only failed to support his career but also come here to cause trouble. You don't deserve to be his wife. I don't deserve it. And you do? Saying this, I walked over to a group of business tycoons with my wine glass. Uncles, could you please testify for me? In the past 2 years, what has been the real reason behind Marvin's smooth business dealings? Marvin's body stiffened. Alice, what do you mean? I ignored him and clinked glasses with one of the men. Uncle William, what do you say? Do we need to say it? I've watched you grow up, Alice. When you came to me for help, how could I refuse? Following Uncle William's words, the others all nodded in agreement. That's right. We wouldn't have taken Mr. Doyle's orders if it weren't for little Alice's sake. Indeed. And remember last year's symposium entry ticket? That was meant for Alice, but this love-struck girl gave it to her boyfriend at the time. Marvin's expression crumbled. I looked at him with amusement. Marvin, I have to admit, you do have talent. You're cut out for business. But you didn't really think you got this far all on your own, did you? Marvin's gaze was fixed on me, seemingly unable to believe what was happening before his eyes. Vicky started making a fuss again. Alice Collins, what exactly are you trying to do? Bringing these people here to slander my brother. Ruining his reputation. What good does that do you? Marvin grabbed her. Shut up. Good? I laughed loudly. Oh, there's plenty of good. Not only am I going to ruin his reputation, but I'm also going to take back everything that belongs to me. Saying this, I took out some documents, and Marvin, I want a divorce. Divorce? Marvin was completely stunned. Alice, I never thought about divorcing you. Maura, standing to the side, was also bewildered. Marvin, what are you saying? Wasn't divorce what we've been planning all along? And now you shut up. Maura, having been shouted at, was unhappy and quickly called for security. Someone, get this mad woman out of here. But after she called twice, security didn't move. Maura was furious. Are you all deaf? Didn't you hear what I said? The security guards finally moved. They stood on either side of me, as if surrounding me. Maura sneered at me. Alice, don't be so arrogant. Oh, really? I asked the security guards, am I being arrogant? The security guards shook their heads. Miss Collins can do no wrong. As soon as these words were spoken, Maura and the others were all shocked. Maura pointed at the security guards. What's going on with you? The head of security frowned. This lady is the heiress of the Collins family from York. How dare you offend her? What? The security guard's words caused a commotion among everyone present. Apart from the few uncles beside me, not many people knew who I was. Especially Marvin, whose face had turned beyond pale. He was frowning tightly, seemingly calculating something again. Seeing the situation turning unfavorable, Vicky started making a fuss again. Just because he says so, it must be true? Don't be fooled, everyone. If Alice Collins were really the Collins heiress, why would she deign to stay in our small town? I nodded. You have a point. If I hadn't been blind enough to fall for Marvin Doyle, I wouldn't have been bullied by you small-timers here. Saying this, I walked towards the stage. I picked up the microphone. I'm sorry to disturb everyone for a few minutes. Next, I'd like everyone to enjoy a few videos. I waved towards the backstage, and immediately videos of Vicky selling bags appeared on the big screen. Each video had close-ups of her face, along with corresponding receipts. Even Marvin didn't know about this. He looked at his sister in shock. Vicky, what's going on? Vicky stammered. I just sold a few of her bags. She has so many bags she can't wear them all anyway. I just sold a few for pocket money. What's wrong with that? With a loud slap, Marvin struck Vicky across the face. Marvin then turned to look at me, as if wanting to say something. But I ignored him and continued playing the videos. Alice, Marvin called out to me, what exactly do you want? I don't want anything. I just heard that Mr. Doyle wants to buy that piece of land in the north suburbs. And I thought I'd lend a hand. Alice, come down first. Let's talk this through properly. I shook my head. Don't rush, there's something even more exciting coming up. This is all fabricated by you. Maura suddenly shouted loudly, and everyone turned to look at her. Maura came up to me. Alice, I know you're jealous of me. You're jealous that Marvin only has me in his heart. So you fabricated all this to harm him, isn't that right? Everyone started whispering again, and I felt quite helpless. Fabricated? Well then, Miss Holmes, what do you think is real? Saying this, I tapped a few times on my phone and then projected the screen. A pair of naked bodies suddenly appeared on the screen. It was Marvin and Maura. I had it professionally restored 4K ultra-clear images, their faces clearly visible. Unbearable sounds filled the hall. This time they were truly finished. Marvin collapsed completely on the spot. Maura still tried to make a final struggle, attempting to rush to my side, but before she could get near me, security stopped her. Just then, the police also arrived at the hall. I handed a USB drive to the police, containing business secrets about Marvin and Maura, not suitable for public viewing. Marvin and Maura were involved in multiple criminal charges with solid evidence. It seemed unlikely they would be released anytime soon. I finished giving my statement at the police station. It was already midnight when I came out. It wasn't easy to get a taxi here. Just as I was about to call my family's driver, a luxury car stopped in front of me. It was Nolan Romero. "Where are you heading?" he asked. "The villa in the suburbs." "That's on my way. Let's go together." "On your way." Although I was a bit surprised, it was indeed difficult to get a cab here, so I had no choice but to get into Nolan's car. I went to the back to open the door, but couldn't after trying twice. "Sorry, the back door is broken. Please sit in the front," Nolan said. "This." I felt a bit awkward but still reluctantly sat in the passenger seat. Strangely, we didn't talk the whole way, yet it wasn't as awkward as I had imagined. Back at the villa, I felt nostalgic. This was the house my parents bought for me when I was in university. Because I had been with Marvin all along, I rarely came back here. Thinking of my parents made me even sadder. I had fallen out with them because of Marvin. And now I didn't have the courage to go home and see them. Only after all this happened did I realize that the only people who truly cared for me were my parents. As I got out of the car, before I could enter, the front door opened by itself. It was my mom with red, teary eyes and my dad holding a feather duster. "Mom, Dad, why are you here?" My mom hugged me and cried for a long time. Only then did I learn that Sophia had brought them here. Knowing I was here confronting Marvin, they were worried but felt I should face it on my own, so they quietly waited here for me. If I succeeded, they would celebrate with me. If not, they would be my support. I cried too, for my stubbornness and for having such wonderful parents. After I finished crying, I looked at my dad. "Dad, are you going to hit me with that feather duster?" My dad rolled his eyes and gently swept the feather duster over me a few times. I laughed at my dad's action. "What does this mean?" "Of course, we need to sweep away the bad luck after you've escaped from that hellhole. Come on, let's go home. I've made your favorite Doyle's pie." These simple words made me feel a long-lost warmth. The divorce proceedings with Marvin went smoothly. All the assets were allocated to me, and I had Vicky sent to prison for theft. I returned to a normal life routine. Since I was familiar with the city, my dad decided to invest in a company for me to take over. On my 27th birthday, my father gave me a special gift. It was a plot of land in the northern suburbs. "Wasn't that land bought by Romero Industries?" I asked, puzzled. "How did it end up in your hands, Dad?" Dad nodded. "You're quite savvy about the market, aren't you? I knew you liked it, so I bought it for you." "Of course," I replied. "Now that I've decided to take over the business, I have to work hard." "You're doing well, but don't let your guard down," he advised. "Romero Industries moving into the city is a formidable competitor. Show me what you're capable of." I threw myself back into work. Sophia and I spent over a month traveling for business, which was incredibly fulfilling. When I returned home one day, I was surprised to find Nolan playing chess with my father. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Nolan waved his phone at me. I forgot to accept the compensation payment last time, so it was returned. I suddenly remembered that I had been preoccupied with Marvin's situation during those days and had overlooked this matter. "I can give you the money right away, but you didn't have to come to my house to ask for it, did you?" I said, feeling a bit annoyed. My father waved his hand at me. "Alice, what are you doing? Nolan is our guest." It seemed that during my absence, he had become a frequent visitor and was quite familiar with my parents. Confused, I went to the kitchen to find my mother. Mom told me that not long after I left on my business trip, Nolan started visiting regularly to see my father. Recently, he had been coming every few days. I didn't understand. Dad's such a cautious person. Isn't he worried that Nolan might be a con man? I asked. A con man? Alice, Are you joking? What kind of con man would sell such a large plot of land at a loss? Mom replied. What? I stared at my mother in shock. Mom, are you saying that land belonged to Nolan? He's from Romero Industries. Mom nodded. Yes. Didn't you know? Nolan was named the heir to the Romero family last year. I was completely stunned. This news was absolutely mind-blowing. It's not that I hadn't dealt with Romero Industries before, but I had no idea Nolan was the heir. Nolan has just moved here and I hear he's planning to stay permanently, Mum added. I was still in a daze when my mother leaned in close to my ear. Darling, I think Nolan is a fine young man. I can tell he's interested in you. What do you think? Give it some thought. Mom, don't be ridiculous, I protested. I'm not being ridiculous, she insisted. I've been around the block. Love. Why do you think he comes over every few days to play chess with your father? Surely it's not for the love of chess and that plot of land in the northern suburbs. It wasn't of much use to Romero Industries. He bought it initially to prevent others from snatching it up, then sold it to your father at a low price. Can you guess why? Before I could respond, Nolan entered the kitchen. Mrs. Collins, is there anything I can help with? I was about to say no, but my mother nodded enthusiastically. Perfect timing. I haven't prepared the vegetables yet. Nolan, why don't you and Alice help me with that? Mom, no, Before I could finish my sentence, my mother had already zipped out of the kitchen. When I came to my senses, only Nolan and I were left in the kitchen. My mind was in a whirl, and I couldn't find words to speak. Nolan, on the other hand, seemed much more at ease. Have you not moved on yet? He asked. I knew he was referring to my previous marriage. I shook my head. It's not worth dwelling on. I'm over it now. After saying this, I felt I needed to clarify something with Nolan. Actually, with your background, if you wanted to get married, there would be plenty of lovely girls. If my parents have said anything to you, you don't need to take it to heart. But what if I want to take it to heart? He replied. I froze, not understanding his meaning. Alice, do you really not remember me? He asked. What? Nolan rolled up his sleeve, revealing a faint scar on his forearm. That winter in our third year at university. When you encountered those thugs in the back alley of the school, do you remember? A hazy memory suddenly became clear in my mind. It was you? All this time I thought it was Alice, Nolan interrupted, then took my hand. We've already lost 2 years. We can't waste any more time, can we? But the past can't be relived, I said hesitantly. The past can't be relived, but we can look back on it, Nolan replied. He held my hand tightly. Alice, as long as you turn around, I'll always be there waiting. Looking into Nolan's eyes, I suddenly realized how foolish I had been. Back then, I fell headlong into Marvin's trap. Thinking about it now, I was such an idiot. Nolan, can you give me some time? I asked. Nolan seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Of course, take as long as you need. I nodded, then picked up the fruit platter and left the kitchen, my face flushed. Although I hadn't agreed to Nolan's words, I hadn't refused either. I thought, let's leave the rest to time. Whether it's about feelings, career, or life, they should all have their own journey. I don't know what the future holds, but I think I'll try my best to make it better.